Welcome to the Forward Marketing Podcast, the podcast that covers internet marketing strategies and leadership tactics to move your business forward. With your host, Joshua Jarvis. Welcome back to the Forward Marketing Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Joshua Jarvis, and we're talking about the episode today. Trying to avoid saying super excited. I think I say that on every episode. But something happened recently while I was on Google. That's probably my best friend. Oh, that's sad. Did I just say that on the podcast? That Google is my best friend. Okay, so anyway, I was on Google and I noticed that quite a few of the search results had stars. And we call those sort of featured snippets or SERP features, so search engine result features. So I noticed that there was more stars being shown for the results. And so when you look at a page, particularly some bigger search volume pages, what Google does is they put, they take over the sidebar with something called a knowledge graph. They add, obviously they have their ads. Sometimes there's a picture of a map, but also the search results have stars. And although we've covered this in the past, I don't think we've ever done an episode on like how to get the stars on your page. So if you've ever done a Google search, and you should try this, when you Google something, particularly like reviews of small businesses, especially since we're, at Forward Marketing, we really want to move small businesses forward. So if you have a small business or if you have a large business with multiple locations, and you do a search, you'll probably see a map pop up and the search results. But today I'm actually talking about the stars that are on the actual search results. So sometimes you'll see them. Now that if you've never seen them before, you have no idea what I'm talking about, then you're going to start to see them now that we've talked. Now that you've listened to this podcast, you're going to be like, oh, I see these stars everywhere. How do I get them? Well, that is what today's episode's about. And like I said, it is something that we've covered before, and so I'm going to reference some of our other podcasts on that because I go in depth on how to really maximize what I'm about to tell you. So, spoiler alert, we have talked about this before, and I'm going to talk about something called local SEO and Google My Business. But today's episode really isn't about local SEO and Google My Business. It's just I'm going to walk you through how to set it up. But if you, let's say you are, I notice I've got a lot of listeners all over the world, and Google's in all over the world. But if you've got a business, maybe you've got a bigger business or you're a technology company, you don't have an address, you can still utilize this technique. It may be a little bit harder to get it to work the way that you want it to, but you can still get the stars. You may not be able to actually use a Google My Business as much as, say, like a real estate agent or a plumber or a chiropractor might, but you certainly could use it to get what we need for the stars. So let's start with first things first. Where do the stars come from? So basically, the stars that you see are coming from a review. Well, that's right. When you look at the results, you see the stars, and the stars say, a 5-star review, right? Obviously, none of these websites would ever show their 2-star reviews, right? And this is manual right now. Maybe in the future, Google will decide to take it away from us, from our ability to actually write it in what we need. So they come from reviews. Where they get how the reviews pop up on your site like that is through something called schema markup, or structured data markup, or however you want to word it. But basically, you write a little piece of code, and it's very, very easy. It's very easy code. It's not like a programming language. So when I say easy, that's what I mean. It's not a programming language. And if you want the easy button on this, I will link to it in the show notes. So I will give you a link to where you can go and put in your website and literally go in and just write in your review. So I'll put that in the show notes. So if you want that, you can go to forwardmarketing.com. That's the number 4, rdmarketing.com, and it'll actually make it for you, and then you can just go through there. In fact, it probably won't be this week when you hear this, but what I'll do is I'll go ahead and make a very short video or tutorial on how to do that for you, the listener, in exchange for a good review, or you share this with your friends. All right, so we're going to go on the honor system that if you go back and you do this and you implement this, that you are going to review it or share it with your friends. So that's the deal. All right, so I will do that if you'll do that. So basically, you have your website and you're putting this piece of code on it. So that's how the stars come up. But when you go to set up the code for this, so when you go to the website, when you go to the Google's tool, and it just lets you enter it in, so it has the code, so you can just copy and paste it onto your site. When you do this, you need one thing that's kind of missing from all this. You need the actual reviews. So how do you get those reviews? You actually have to go and sign up for Google My Business. So this is the local SEO portion of the podcast. So basically, if you've never done this before, forget everything I just said and go to google.com/business. All right. What it's going to do is ask you, if you've never done this before, is actually ask you to sign. You're going to sign up, and it's completely free, and you're going to register your business. And this is where the whole process starts. So you want to register your business. You want to make sure the name the most important thing on what you enter is your name, your address, your phone number, and your website. Those are really, really the most important. Obviously, the categories are important. Some other things are important, but those are the most important things. So please use the name that's going to be consistent on every single thing you do. Please don't try to add a key phrase in there. You won't get banned, but they won't list your listing. Don't try to put change the words around. It's not alphabetical. You don't need to add an A in front of your name. I've seen that. I've actually seen people go A dot and then put their business name as if this is the Yellow Pages. It's not. So just use your business name, whatever that is. Certainly you could say, let's say you're a real estate agent, or maybe you're an attorney or something like that, and your name is part of your business, but it's not actually in your legal name. Go ahead and do that. A side note, you don't need to add LLC or whatever at the end of your business. Even though that's your legal business name, you don't need to add all that. You can put, Joshua Jarvis, real estate services, right? Yeah, I could totally do that and get away with it. But just don't go overboard. Don't make it spammy. They will catch it. They monitor this stuff. Your address needs to be a physical address. Now, if you're local and you want to get business locally, then you need to have an address that you can actually verify. That's like a legit address. In fact, I don't think you can have a listing without verifying your address now. So you need to have your address. But if you want to get business from a local, like I said, locally, you need to be able to sort of promote that address. There's differing theories on whether that's true or not. But what I've seen is that for my clients, if they have a physical location that you can visit and you publicize the address, you're going to get a lot more business from Google than if you decided to use your home address, for instance, but you're not going to publicize it. So just be that aware. So if you're in a different country, or you have like I said, you have a technology company, you still need to have an address where Google can send you a postcard, but you just like I said, you can decide to publicize it or not. And so it's kind of a hack that I'm going to teach you if you don't have a physical location. As far as getting the stars, so the hack is the stars. So you can get away with it. That's basically what I'm trying to say. All right, so you got your name, your address, your phone number. Again, that phone number needs to be the same phone number on every single site that you put this on. So have one phone number and also one website. So what they're going to do is once you enter that information in, like I said, they're going to send you a postcard, and you just have to make the decision. Am I going to tell the world about my location, or am I not? If I tell the world, that means you'll probably get more out of this listing than you would. But you don't have to tell the world to make the stars work. I think that was what I was trying to say before. So anyway, so they're going to send you a postcard to verify, are you legit? They also, depending on what you do on Google, they may bypass that completely and just simply send you a text. And so like right now, most of the stuff I do, they'll send me a text, or they'll try to do something else. I've had a few where they wanted postcards for my clients, but it seems like they kind of change it up depending on how legit you seem. All right, so after that, you're going to set your categories. So once you set up your account, you're only going to have one category. So what I would do is search. And don't try to get upset if your category isn't worded the way that you want it to. It doesn't matter. It matters what Google thinks. It doesn't matter what you think. So just know, you're just going to have to accept whatever Google gives you in this regard. And the good news is once you get verified, you actually can select more categories. And I don't want to leave you hanging with this whole thing because there's some other things that can help you rank better, help you get more visitors on your local page. So if you want to go back to one of our old podcasts, it's about local SEO, and I go in depth on how to sort of rank for the map search. So if someone's searching for attorneys near me or chiropractors near me or whatever, the map comes up. And so anytime someone does that search or they add a city to it, chiropractor in Atlanta, they do a search and Google looks at some different things. It's going to look at how many citations do you have? Like how many directories are you in that have your same name, your same address, your same phone number, and your same website. Okay, so that's why it's so important to have the same thing across all the boards, because that's basically, they call it a NAP. And I cover this in the old podcast. So definitely go back and listen to that. I go in depth. So if you're a local business person, it's probably the lowest hanging fruit for small businesses, especially solopreneurs out there. You can go ahead and set up a Google Business account, and I guarantee you'll get at least 1 or 2 new leads every single month just from something that's so free and you don't have to do a whole lot. But I'm going to go pretty quickly through what I covered in the podcast, just for the sake of those people who don't want to have to go back and listen to it. Once you get verified, you're going to update your categories so you can actually select multiple categories. So like real estate agents, I think they've got 3 or 4 main ones for a typical residential real estate agent. You can do consultant, you can do agent, you can do brokers. It's worth it just to go ahead and select all of those. Of course, you want to add videos and photos. And also now something new is something called services. I would go ahead and fill that out. Now, I haven't found any data that suggests that filling the services out is going to increase your ranking. But it makes sense to me that the better and better and better that your Google My Business page is, like the more full of information it is, the better it's going to perform overall. So still looking for that data for that. And then after that, you've got of course, you need reviews. And so that's really, you need at least one 5-star review in order to make this work. So you didn't hear it from me, but send a review request to your mama and get your mom or your dad to give you a 5-star review if that's what you got to do. Google's not they're not Yelp. In other words, a review is a review is a review. And for the purposes of this podcast and the purposes of this like hack, if you will, is to get the stars. That's the point. So you want the 5 stars from your mama. Hopefully, though, if I was to send this to my mom, hopefully her username isn't like Josh's mom, because it'd be really, really obvious to everyone what I did. So definitely get a review from a friend or relative and make sure that their account doesn't look like it's your thing. So I'm probably violating terms of service there for Google, but and you are too if you do this. But it is an easy way to get a 5-star review for the purposes of this hack. Now, if you're going to run your own business, please get a client review. Okay, I'm not trying to corrupt all my listeners and trying to teach you guys how to do like black hat, awful stuff. No, I'm just trying to talk about how do you get the 5 stars. So okay, so you've got the photos, you got your videos, you got all your page, you get your review, and then the next thing to do if you want this to rank is to go ahead and get citations. Okay, so there's a bunch of services that do this. I actually have a company, FordLocal.com. I think I need to update the website. But basically, any of these different, and Bing has one, and even Apple Maps has one, and there's multiple different ones that you can go to. The service I use, or my service, if you will, we do almost, I think it's like 45 or 50 of them. And there's another service called Birdeye that'll do it, Bright Local. There's a bunch of these services, and basically what they do maybe I can do another episode where I review these services if you want. In fact, if you want that, if you'd like me to review the different services unbiased, then go ahead and email me at joshua@forwardmarketing.com. That's joshua@4rdmarketing.com, and I'll cover the different services as an episode. But basically, you can either use these services that submit your name, address, and phone number to the directories, or if you go back to the old episode I was mentioning, I've got a link where it actually gives you like the 800 the list of 800 different directories that you can actually list your business in. It's a great way to get some sort of low quality links, and it's a good way to build your citations, which is something Google looks at. All right, so you've got citations, you got all your Google account, you get your reviews. Now what? Now, if you remember what I said in the very beginning, I said you can go to a website and make this really easy. In fact, Google has a very easy tool to do that. It's called the Schema Markup Tool. And what you do is that basically you put your address, you put your you put your website in there. So you put your website in the tool, and what it does is it pulls up your website, and then you can do things like select your logo, you can select your address. All of this stuff is totally going to help you. But what we want is the 5-star review. So what you're going to do is that they have an option, and if you right-click on the screen, it'll give you some options to add things manually. So let's say you didn't actually have your address on your website, which, come on, guys. You need to put your address on your website. But let's just say you don't, because maybe you don't have a business that has a physical brick and mortar location, or you don't want people showing up or mailing you letters or whatever. So anyway, you can add information manually, and what you want to go to do is go down to where it says ratings, and essentially what you're going to do is actually just copy the review that you got, hopefully from Not Your Mama. Maybe I should go back and edit that. I hate for someone to think that my mom is the one giving me all the reviews. Maybe one of those. But anyway, so go back there and take that review, and basically you're just going to copy and paste the information from the review into the fields. And it's that simple. So once you do that, it's going to say, hey, how do you want your data? You have some different options. The one that you want to select, or the easiest one, or the one that I recommend, sort of the industry recommends, is the JSON one. So you don't need to even know what that means, and it's okay. You don't have to know. All you need to know is you see JSON, so JSON, and you take that, and it's going to say, okay, here's your file. All you do is copy that, and then you just put it on your website where it tells you to put it. So I know this sounds really difficult because I hear myself talking, and I'm like, if I was telling anyone how to do this like this, their eyes would be glazing over. So I'm going to make it really, really simple. All right. Can you embed a YouTube video? Everyone say yes. Can you put Google Analytics on your website? If you said yes to both of those, then this is going to be a breeze. Now, if you've never embedded a video on a web page, or you've never put any analytics on your website, and you've never done anything with one of those little arrow brackets, then this might be a little bit difficult for you. But essentially, all I'm telling you to do is get a review. So let's wrap this up. All you need to do is have a 5-star review, go over the Schema Markup Tool, write it in, fill out the form, hit give me my code, and then copy and paste it. And then what you want to do is you want that piece of code on every page that you want that review. And that's, I know that if, you're an SEO specialist and you're listening to this, you're probably wanting to pull your hair out because I've missed a bunch of really, really great tips that I could be giving you. But I really wanted just to give you something actionable, because what I noticed was that when I was doing a search, that more and more of Google was showing the stars on these results, which means it's going to be a bit one of those sort of things that you're going to want to do. And here's the other thing. So if you've lasted this long, here's the big why. Why would I do this, Josh? It's stars. Big deal, right? No. What it's going to do is increase your click-through rate. All right, so one of the sort of like unknown secrets about SEO is that if I can increase my click-through rate on my search results, so let's say I've got 10 pages and they all rank, say, page 2, and I can't figure out why they're not on page 1. Well, if I can increase my click-through rate on my pages, meaning that people click on the title, that means that my search results will go up, right? So it's one of those SEO things that we do. And so if you have the stars, I wish I had the data in front of me, but it's like at least twice as likely to get a click on a listing with the stars on it versus one that doesn't, right? And so it just stands out. So if you look at it, you'll see what I'm talking about. And like I said, I'll put all of this in the show notes, kind of preparing for the work I've got ahead to try to do that. But in any case, all you've got to do is go get a review, 5-star review, go to the place that I'm giving you the link to in the show notes, or you can Google it. Type in Google though. Don't type in schema markup tool and get somebody else's. Go to Google schema markup tool and just type that in the search, and you'll get the tool. And then what you do is, just like I said, you just enter in the information, and then you copy and paste the code on the pages that you want to have the stars, which, spoiler alert, is pretty much all of them. And if you want me to go in depth on schema markup and what's best practices, you know the drill. All you got to do is email me at joshua@forwardmarketing.com, or you can always catch me on Twitter at Jarvis Team is my Twitter handle. So anyway, I so appreciate you guys listening. I finally gotten through the dip of the podcast. Basically, when I first started, there was a hill where people started listening, and then there was this dip, and I was like, oh no, I don't know if I don't think I'm ever gonna do podcast again. I'm just gonna I'm gonna quit. And then all of a sudden, more and more people started listening, and so I really, really appreciate it. I'm not on any sort of iTunes radar yet. So if you guys would start sharing it, start getting more listeners, that would be really, really great. It would really reward me. Again, I don't sell you guys anything on this podcast because I want to add as much value as I can. My real heart's desire, if you want me to get a little sappy for a second, is really to help your business move forward. I mean, it's the whole reason why we named the company that. It's the whole reason why I do the podcast, is to help you. So if you ever want to test me on that, all you got to do is email me or send me a message, find me online and say, hey, I've got this question. Can you help me? And if I don't help you personally, then I'll do a podcast on it and help a bunch of people. So anyway, so hopefully you enjoyed it. Again, I'm trying to bribe you in any way I can to get reviews because, I want stars on my listings too, and I don't want to have to ask my mama for a review, which reminds me, I do probably need to ask her for a review. I probably could get a review from her. Hopefully she doesn't give me like 4 stars. That'd be bad. So anyway, thanks for listening to this episode. And as always, I'll catch you online, and make it a great day.